My pregnant wife ignored my protests and went on an overseas trip with her high school boyfriend. She posted on Facebook, "Matteo, even though we can't be together as husband and wife, I'm still going to have your child." In the photo, they were holding hands and hugging. I commented under the post, "If you're so in love, isn't it time to kick me out and stay with him?" After posting my comment, I didn't waste any time. I called the postpartum care center where I had made a reservation and cancelled it. I also called the women's clinic in Riverside and cancelled all the appointments I had scheduled. The thousands of baby items I had already purchased, I returned what I could and gave away the rest. When I was done, I sighed with relief. I called a few close friends and invited them out for drinks. I needed a distraction. We were laughing, having fun, when my phone vibrated. I glanced at the screen and my smile disappeared. It was Camila. The room went quiet. My friends noticed my change in mood. One of them suggested, "If Camila's calling, maybe you should head home before she causes a scene." "Yeah, we can wrap it up here," added another. They wanted to help. Ever since I married Camila, I hadn't spent much time with my friends. When I did, Camila called them drunks, useless, and blamed them for anything that went wrong. Everyone knew how controlling she was. But I insisted on rejecting the call right there in front of them and forced a smile. "Forget her, let's keep going." "No, maybe you should," Matteo began, concerned. I interrupted him, "I know you're looking out for me, but I'll say it now. When Camila gets back, I'm asking for a divorce. She won't be your sister-in-law anymore." The group fell silent, exchanging uneasy glances, but said nothing more. My phone vibrated again. After hesitating, I answered this time. Camila's shrill voice came from the other end. Furious, "Diego Morales, who do you think you are, ignoring my calls? If this happens again, you'll be sleeping on the couch for a month." I stayed silent as she launched into another rant. "Tell me, Diego, why did you cancel the postpartum care center? If they hadn't called me, I'd still be in the dark. Are you planning to be this baby's father? If not, don't worry, plenty of other men would be thrilled to." When Camila got pregnant, I treated her like a queen. Everything she asked for, I made happen. I booked the best postpartum care center in Sonoma Valley for $10,000 a month, without hesitation. I loved her. I wanted her to feel cherished. But she used my devotion as a license to walk all over me. Her sharp voice snapped me out of my thoughts. "Are you listening to me?" "Yes, I'm listening." "What's the issue?" I asked calmly. "The issue is that you're going to fix it," she snapped back. "Rebook the center and send me another $10,000. Matteo and I want to stay here a few more days." Her words made me laugh out loud. "Camila, have you lost your mind?" The moment those words left my mouth, Camila exploded. "Diego Morales, what did you just say? Repeat that if you're a man. Do you want me to file for divorce?" It wasn't the first time she used divorce as a threat. It was her trump card, no matter how small the fight. And every time, I gave in. I apologized, took the blame, did everything to calm things down. I thought that if I yielded enough, we'd eventually find happiness. But things never worked out that way. Taking a deep breath, I raised my glass and said calmly, "Fine, let's get divorced then." I hung up and turned off my phone. My friend stared at me in shock. "Why are you frozen? Let's toast to my freedom." That broke the tension. Laughter filled the air, and they raised their glasses with me. Drinks flowed, and I felt genuinely happy for the first time in years. Back at home, I collapsed onto the bed, the buzz of alcohol and freedom making me smile. For years, my life revolved around Camila's demands. She controlled everything. And I let her. I quit smoking and drinking for her. I gave her my entire paycheck every month. I cooked, cleaned, and took care of our home, so she could do sports. But at some point, she forgot she wasn't royalty. The next morning, I woke up to loud banging on the apartment door. At first I thought someone was doing repairs. But when the noise continued, I realized it was my door. I didn't need to guess who it was. I took my time pouring a glass of water as the voices outside grew louder. "Diego Morales, open this door now." Lucia's sharp tone cut through the noise. How dare you cancel the postpartum care and hospital appointments? Are you even human? Her voice grated on my nerves, but I was used to it. Whenever Camila and I had the slightest fight, her parents rushed over to scold me. When I finally opened the door, I was met with furious faces. Without waiting for an invitation, they pushed past me into the apartment. You'd better fix this immediately, Lucia demanded. Camila is coming back tonight, and everything needs to be back in place. Is she bringing Matteo with her? I asked coldly. What are you implying? Camila is coming back alone. Stop talking nonsense, Lucia shot back defensively. Her husband, Raul, added, oh, and I heard you got a $155,000 bonus at work. When are you going to give that to Camila? I let out a chuckle, shaking my head. It was going to be a long day. Raul was certainly well informed. He even knew about the bonus I'd received from my last project. So when are you giving that money to my daughter? Lucia chimed in, her tone entitled. I replied, dry, you must have misunderstood. I'm asking Camila for a divorce. Divorce? Lucia's face contorted in shock. When I said the word divorce in front of Lucia and Raul, their immediate shock was evident. Lucia stepped back, like she'd been slapped by an invisible hand. Raul crossed his arms, trying to maintain his authoritarian stance, though it was clear he hadn't expected it either. The tension in the air was palpable. But I remained calm and meeting their gazes without hesitation. After years of submission to Camila's demands, and her parents' constant interference, I finally felt something close to freedom. You can't be serious, Diego, Lucia said incredulously. Camila will never accept this. I laughed, but it was a bitter laugh. Camila doesn't have a choice, Lucia. She crossed every line. All of you did. Raul scoffed, trying to regain control. You're overreacting. Divorce? This is serious. You can't make such a decision in the heat of the moment. Think about your family. Think about your child. My child. I replied, raising my voice for the first time. Do you really want to talk about my child? Because as far as I know, Matteo is his father, not me. Do you think I'm going to keep funding this charade, paying for everything while she parades around with him? You're out of touch with reality. Lucia tried to interrupt me, but I raised my hand, demanding silence. I've spent years doing everything for Camila. I worked tirelessly. Handed over my paycheck every month. Fulfilled every whim of hers. And what did I get in return? Betrayal. Humiliation. And a family that thinks they can treat me like a walking ATM. This ends now. The silence that followed was deafening. Lucia looked at Raul, hoping he'd say something to convince me. But he remained quiet. Finally, he let out an exasperated sigh. This is a mistake, Diego. You'll regret it. The only mistake I made was not doing this sooner, I replied coldly. Without another word, I walked to the door and opened it, signaling that it was time for them to leave. Reluctantly, they walked past me. But not without Lucia issuing one last warning. When Camila comes back, you'll regret all of this. She won't let you get away with it. I simply closed the door without responding. For the first time in years, I felt like I had some control over my life. And I wasn't going to let empty threats intimidate me. I spent the rest of the day reorganizing the house. I removed every trace of Camila, photos, clothes, trinkets she had left around the apartment. Everything that belonged to her was packed into boxes and stacked near the door. When I was done, I looked around and felt a massive weight lift off my shoulders. The house finally felt like mine. Later that day, my phone started vibrating again. Camila was trying to call. But I didn't answer. After several failed attempts, she started sending messages. At first they were insults. Then threats. She said she would ruin my life. That I would pay for everything. Eventually, the tone changed. She started pleading, saying she loved me, that we could work through this. But I knew it was just another attempt to manipulate me. I ignored all the messages. Blocked her number. I was determined to move forward. No matter the cost. The following night, around 10, there were violent knocks at the door. My heart raced. But I wasn't surprised. When I opened the door, there was Camila, accompanied by Lucia and Raul. Her face was red with fury, and she wasted no time before starting to yell. "Diego! What the hell do you think you're doing? How do you treat me like this after everything I've done for you?" I laughed, but it was loaded with sarcasm. "What have you done for me, Camila? You spent years using me as an ATM, as a servant, while you cheated on me behind my back. And now you have the audacity to come here and act like you're the victim." She tried to step inside, but I raised my hand. "No. You're not crossing this door. Your things are there." I pointed to the boxes. "And I'm going to ask you to leave, now, before I call the police." Camila froze for a moment, but quickly recovered and began yelling again, calling me ungrateful, saying I deserved worse. Lucia tried to intervene, claiming I was being unreasonable, but I simply ignored her. Raul, on the other hand, remained silent, watching everything with a look that seemed genuinely concerned. Finally, after a few more minutes of shouting and accusations, Camila picked up the boxes and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Lucia and Raul followed, but not without throwing me looks full of contempt. When the door finally closed, I felt exhausted, but also relieved. In the days that followed, Camila tried everything to retaliate. She hired a lawyer, filed a claim for alimony and division of assets, even though everything we had was acquired through my hard work. She spread rumors among friends and family, painting me as a cold, calculating monster. But no matter how hard she tried, I was prepared. My lawyer successfully refuted every accusation. And when the truth about her relationship with Mateo came to light, she lost most of the support she had. In the end, the court ruled she wasn't entitled to anything, except for a small amount to cover temporary expenses. And even though that was limited to a few months, the final verdict was a relief. I was finally free. And for the first time in many years, I felt like I could start my life over. Without Camila. Without the constant pressure to satisfy someone who was never content. Looking back, I realized that every sacrifice I made was in vain. But it also taught me a valuable lesson. No matter how much you love someone, if that person doesn't respect you, you'll never be happy. With a renewed heart, I began planning my future, knowing that from that moment on, I would be the master of my own story. After months of dealing with the aftermath of the divorce, it seemed like my life was finally heading in a stable direction. However, Camila wasn't ready to give up. Despite losing the court case and being exposed publicly for her relationship with Mateo, she kept trying to provoke me. Sometimes it was through indirect comments on social media. Other times, through rumors she spread among acquaintances. But what truly enraged me was finding out she was living with Mateo, boasting that she was supporting him with the money she took from me. An old coworker called me one morning to tell me that Camila had been bragging, saying she still relied on the money she got from me in the settlement. She was even planning a lavish party to celebrate her eternal love with Mateo, boasting that everything was being funded by the idiot ex-husband. Those words made my blood boil. But more than anger, I felt a new determination. It was time to end the game once and for all. I spent weeks carefully planning every move. Through mutual contacts, I uncovered details about her situation. Camila and Mateo were on a downward spiral. Though they tried to maintain appearances of luxury and success, they were deeply in debt. Mateo, without a stable job, was completely dependent on Camila. And Camila was living off the money she had taken from me and loans she couldn't repay. The party, I learned, would be a financial blow that would sink them even further. The first step was to protect myself legally. I reviewed my financial situation and discovered there were still services linked to my accounts that Camila was using. I cancelled them immediately. My lawyer also helped me file a motion to review the alimony agreement, arguing she was using the money fraudulently. But that wasn't enough. I wanted her social circle to know who Camila truly was. So I hired a private investigator. He gathered evidence, photos, messages, witnesses. Everything. Armed with this information, I created an anonymous social media profile and started posting the evidence. Every detail was exposed: her betrayal, her lies, and how she lived a life of appearances based on manipulation and deceit. The truth spread quickly. Many of the guests invited to her party began cancelling. On the day of the party, Camila tried to carry on as if nothing had happened. Matteo, however, had already seen the posts and was furious. According to some attendees, during the event, Camila tried to defend herself, claiming the accusations were false. That I was just a bitter ex-husband. But Matteo, apparently drunk and tired of the lies, lost control. He started yelling at her in front of everyone. The argument was so intense, most of the guests left before the event ended. Matteo accused her of ruining his life, manipulating him into a relationship he couldn't sustain. Finally, he stormed out, leaving her alone in the middle of the chaos. The days that followed were devastating for Camila. Her reputation was destroyed. Many of her friends abandoned her. Her financial situation worsened. Unable to maintain her lifestyle, she was forced to move back in with her parents, who, I heard, weren't happy about the situation either. Matteo disappeared from her life soon after. Their relationship collapsed completely once he realized Camila could no longer support the lifestyle he wanted. Matteo tried to rebuild his life with another woman, but his reputation was tarnished. No one trusted someone who destroyed lives for personal gain. Lucia and Raul, Camila's parents, also paid the price. For years, they had supported her selfish decisions, defending her behavior, attacking me. But when Camila returned home with no money and no future, they began facing criticism from their own circle. Even some family members confronted them for not intervening earlier. And me? I finally found peace. After winning the review of the alimony agreement, I managed to recover some of the money Camila had taken. I used those funds to focus on my own projects. I traveled, met new people, rediscovered passions I had set aside during my marriage. Most importantly, I learned to set boundaries and never allow anyone to trample on my dignity again. Looking back, I realized all the pain I went through with Camila was a hard but necessary lesson. Her downfall was a consequence of her own actions. And while I didn't set out to destroy her, I had no qualms about defending myself. Life gave me a second chance. And this time, I'm making the most of it. Meanwhile, Camila, Matteo, and the others continue to deal with the ruins of their own decisions. Justice, in the end, ensured that everyone got what they deserved.